and I have a video for you. Sure that you don't miss it. The French author Colette said one time, "I have had a wonderful life. I just wish that I could have realized it earlier." And that's what I want for you, to realize it earlier, that you actually have a wonderful life. Because it's easy to get stuck in the gunk. You might have noticed there's a lot of negative going on in the world right now. If not, you haven't been paying attention, as they say. First, we have Charlottesville, everything that happened there this week. You know, the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists and the loss of life that was there. And that happened this week. But also there were 3 terrorist attacks in Spain this week. And there was even a terrorist attack in Finland. I mean, I think of Finland as being safe, period. There was a terrorist attack there this week as well. And then when we consider the White House, now it seems like it's in chaos. Maybe it's not, maybe it's just an illusion, but at least there's a lot of transition that's going on there. Then we consider the media. The media who goes in for the most sensational moments possible. And I'm not even sure how accurate the news is anymore. They lean it to the left, they lean it to the right. To me, I think there's a lot of actual insanity going on in the world right now. I don't know if it seems that way to you or not. And it's so tempting for us to just throw up our arms and join that whole choir of fear and gloom and doom. In fact, I wonder, are you doing that? I have a question I want to ask you, and I want you to ask yourself and answer it very honestly, rigorous honesty. How much of your emotional energy and your internal dialogue and your external dialogue do you spend focusing on what is not right, what is not working, what is wrong with any given situation, what is wrong with a particular person, what is wrong with yourself or your boss or your job? How much of your time do you focus on what is wrong with a particular politician who will remain nameless? Or what's wrong with the country? Or what's wrong with the world? How much of your time is spent on negative thoughts, gossip, fear, and dwelling on things that aren't going well? According to a UU minister, Lily Nye, she says this: it can be subtle, but when we really observe our own minds, our own emotions, we may have to admit to a fair amount of grousing. The more we grouse, the further it takes us from joy and delight, from fullness and peace, and from enthusiasm and the spirit of generosity. Now I have to tell you, the first time I read that, it made me smile. The more we grouse, what a great word. I looked it up. Grousing means, according to dictionary.com, it means to complain or to grumble, to whine, especially to do so often and about petty things. So, how much of your life do you give up grousing or complaining? Because the more we grouse, the farther we get from joy and delight. Because joy and delight is on the opposite side of the coin of grousing and complaining. Both exist on this planet in this lifetime, and they're both important because really there's a time and purpose for everything under heaven. But what side of the coin do you want to spend most of your life? Joy and delight, or grousing and complaining? Because, this is my main message to you today, it's up to you. It's up to you to decide what side of this coin is going to run your life. It's up to you. Now, I know in my own personal growth work, someone told me that going into that black hole of fear, feeling not good enough, feeling like I'm a victim, this is just happening to me, a wise woman told me, you know what? That's optional. Going into that hole is optional. And I argued that point because I was in my 20s and I knew everything then. Have you ever had that experience? She said, no, you have a choice whether you get in that hole. And I said, I don't have a choice. I'm in the hole and I'm afraid and I feel like I'm not good enough and I'm upset and I'm hurt. And she said, oh, no, you have a choice. You're the one that's jumping into that black hole. You could choose joy instead, to which I laughed out loud. This 50-something-year-old old woman clearly did not understand what it was like to be a 20-something and have this happen. But now I know, a little bit older and wiser, that she was right. We can choose joy over fear, complaining, grousing, suffering, being a victim. Children do this all the time. They are really good at choosing joy. And I think it's because they are experts at living in the moment. They are connected to whatever their experience is. So often they don't miss the joy because they're right there with it. UU minister Lynn Thomas Strauss in Boston tells the story of her granddaughter. On Friday, I took my granddaughter, Madeline, to the department store to buy a birthday gift. She had turned 5 last week. She had never been to such a big store with such an amazing array of little girl dresses. She began to touch each dress as she passed. The colors and the materials were so beautiful and so soft, she just couldn't contain herself. She rubbed the material on her cheeks, on her arms, and she was totally absorbed in the experience. Her joy escalated, and she began to run from dress to dress, literally kissing each dress as she went by. Now that's joy. And I, for one, say, I am not giving away my shot to that kind of joy. Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote and starred in the Broadway musical hit Hamilton. It took him 7 years to write the show, to write the music and the lyrics, and it took him 1 year to write one song, My Shot. In it, he tells the story of a 19-year-old Alexander Hamilton who has been orphaned. Both of his parents died in Europe, and he decides to leave Europe and come to the New World for a new beginning, for a new start. He opens the show with a rap song, which I promise you I will not sing to you. It could be bad. But here are the words to the song. I am not throwing away my shot. I am not throwing away my shot. Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my shot. Now, when I first heard that song, I thought about my shot. I thought about my shot on the planet. I thought about my shot at life. And then I thought about my kids. And I thought about their shot on the planet and their shot at this life. And I think about yours too. Your shot on the planet. Your shot at life. You see, if we spend our life grousing, complaining, being in fear, then we actually are throwing away our shot. We're throwing away our shot at happiness. We're throwing away our shot at joy, at creativity, at living fully. We're throwing it away because we're spending our time grousing. It seems almost to be a mathematical formula, actually. The more fear equals the less joy. So the more fear we have equals the less joy that we get. Another way of saying it is the more grousing and complaining you do, the less happiness, less creativity, less being fully alive, less joy you get. And for me, personally, having been diagnosed with cancer and given 3 months to live, I am not willing to give up my shot. There ain't nothing gonna take my joy away in the few years I have left on the planet. How about you? My hope is that you refuse to let the craziness that's going on in the world and in the White House take away your joy. You've only got one shot, as far as I know, on the planet. That's all we know for sure. And I don't want you to waste it and miss the joy. Are you going to see the cup half empty or half full? If you see it half full, you get to experience joy on a regular basis. If you see it half empty, you don't. You are in essence throwing away your shot. And you get to decide which side of the coin is going to run your life. For example, one of my good friends signs all of her emails this way. She signs them, "Love, Lisa, living a charmed life." Every time I get an email from her, it makes me smile. Lisa, living a charmed life. Now, her life actually is no different than mine or yours. Her husband died about 10 years ago, very suddenly. Very instant heart attack, died on the spot, left her with 2 children. She had a hard time, didn't have a job, had to get one, had to get money. But still, she believes all of her journey is a charmed life. And it's just really in how she looks at things. She's claimed the miracle of her life. And I wonder what would happen if you start living a charmed life as well and claim the miracle of your life. It reminds me of one of my favorite poems by Jane Kenyon called Otherwise. I got out of bed today on 2 strong legs. It could have been otherwise. I ate cereal, sweet milk, and a ripe, flawless peach. It could have been otherwise. I took the dog up the hill to the birchwood to walk. It could have been otherwise. And all morning, I got to do work that I love to do. Reverend Nye says, do you realize how much you already have of what you love? Do you see how much is already available to you, rather than perpetually desiring it as if it's not there? That is to say, people already love you. I already love you. I am already thrilled to see you. I am so glad you're here, not just here at the fellowship, but here on the planet, so that you can enjoy the legs that carry you, the eyesight that you can look out and see these beautiful trees and flowers and rain and sunshine. I am so glad that you are here to enjoy the adventure of your life that you've been given, the sacred life that you are getting to live. Because you see, when we focus on lack and we focus on fear, we miss what we already have that can bring us joy. The focus on lack really is a way of postponing joy. It's a way actually of postponing our life. In Eckhart Tolle's book, A New Earth, I recommend it, he describes it this way: the waiting to start living syndrome that we're suffering from in America, the waiting to start living syndrome, is one of the most pervasive of delusions of our time. Now, I think a lot of that comes from media that is constantly bombarding us, telling us stuff that we need. And if we would just buy this or get this out here, then we'll be happy. Once that happens, if we get this or that or whatever, it's out here, then we can start living. The media teaches us that the only hope is in the future instead of right now, today. The only relief we're going to get from the lack that we have is out there in the future, which really is about waiting to live our life right now. When I was in the throes of my cancer treatment, I had a 3-week cycle over and over again. The first week, I was so exhausted that I slept 20 hours a day, day after day. Got bed sores, got a blood clot, really could not focus, could not read, could not watch a movie, could not talk, could not hold up my head. And I thought to myself, oh, I can't wait till I get my life back out there. And then it occurred to me, this is my life right now. This is the day that I have been given. And I really shifted. I thought, what can I do right now and enjoy my life? And what I decided I could do was think. And I thought I solved the world's problems. I thought about all kinds of puzzles and things to think about that needed to be solved. And I was joyful on a very hard part of my journey. If we wait till all the traffic lights are green before we leave our house, we never get to leave. We'll be waiting out there for joy to happen. I want to encourage you to stop doing that and to start really connecting to right now, your life. There's something inside of each of us. It's pushing. And that pushing is a desire to be fully alive. Michelangelo used to talk about this, how he sculpted. He would start with stone and take away all the unnecessary, because what he was looking for was the person, the figure that was already in the stone. The joy is already inside of you. You just have to free it. Now you might be wondering, well, how do we do that? I think the answer is in connection. Connection to the now. Mary Catherine Moore writes, I can't think of an experience of joy that isn't an experience of intimate connection, like the moment a parent first sees a child's eyes, or the moment in the woods when you feel like you're growing roots as you're leaning against the tree and you realize, I feel one with all. Or if you're under the night sky and you're seeing all of the the stars, and tomorrow the eclipse that's happening, and you realize, oh, I feel it inside of me. Those are connections. Or if you catch somebody's eye across the room and smile at them, and you realize, I am loved and I belong. Those are the connections. The experience of being connected, and it's also the experience of joy. We have to connect to our creativity. We have to connect to each other, connect to nature, connect to soft fabrics on our skin, connect to life's experiences. This unlocks that joy that is in you already. Right now, the joy. I want to give you an exercise to help you get there as well. It's one that we do in therapy for you visitors. I'm a psychotherapist during the week. And it's an exercise that we use with people that are recovering from trauma, people that are stuck, people that can't move, and they're waiting to live syndrome. It's a very simple exercise, but you have to do it every day. I would say for a month, practice it today, and then practice it for a week, and then practice it for another. Okay, so here's the exercise. Every day, use your phone, use a piece of paper, I don't care what, but write down 5 things that are pleasant to you. 5 things that you've experienced today that are pleasant to you. Not pleasurable, but pleasant. Like Julie's singing. It was so pleasant. And Mitch is playing, so pleasant. And realizing I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much. And write down 5 things that you really enjoyed and felt pleasant to you. And then find a person to share it with. It could be a buddy here. Could be somebody, find a buddy that I would like to share my experiences with. Could be your partner. Could be a friend, could be a parent, could be a child, I don't care. But take the time to let them know, hey, this is what happened in my day today. And what happens, you'll be shifting from this, to where you're really able to live in your joy. I want to end today with a story, another story from Sarah Brethnock. In Simple Abundance. She tells a story of being at a political convention a number of years ago with her husband and their 7-year-old daughter. Now her husband was going to the workshops and she and her daughter would go to the beach to play. One afternoon, she writes, there was a surprise activity for the children, a ride on an elephant around the hotel parking lot. Well, Katie, her 7-year-old, was delirious with excitement and joy. That night, as I was tucking her into bed, I said, life is always full of wonderful surprises if we're open to them. Some mornings you wake up not knowing what's going to happen in your day, and it turns out you get to ride an elephant. Well, a couple of days later, Sarah, the mom, got an invitation to go to an all-expense-paid work trip with a group of journalists to Ireland that left in 10 days. Sarah immediately said no. She does not consider herself a spontaneous person, and she came up with all of these reasons immediately why it would not make sense for her to go. Number 1, her passport was expired. Number 2, she had just gotten back from vacation, and all of her work was piled up. Number 3, who would watch Katie, etc., etc. But then her husband, her buddy, said to her, so you're not going to ride the elephant? And she smiled, and she packed, and she went on the trip and had a great time. What about you? Are you going to ride the elephant? Or are you going to throw away your shot? Your one shot on this beautiful, amazing planet to enjoy your journey. I'm here to tell you, life is short and you are precious. Ride the elephant. Blessed be and amen.
Blessed be, ride the elephant. Amen.